the legacy constituents that were beholden to the system, they only secure it by making it more complicated.
Yeah. Our goal is that it's a high quality wine, it's going to be fresh, and then you can trust the people that made it.
And we're back. This is our second podcast. Not quite sure what the name is yet. I think it's something like Hosted Bar, but we're Los Cuernos.
Bar. Yes.
Okay. Yep. And we're gonna give this a go. Thankfully, we have Rio here, so he's gonna kind of guide us through everything. So yep.
Keep us on the trail. Keep us on the path.
Yeah.
As always, you guys have already opened your Los Cuernos side.
It's go time.
Here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It reminds me of the video.
I love it. I love it. All right, let's get into it. Let's start off with some stories of the week, guys. What's been going on here for the Los Cuernos fam, for the Los Cuernos community? What has been happening this week?
All right, let's jump into it. We are out in market a lot doing these events, and we run into people because we're outgoing. We talk about wine. Cory met someone at tasting events in Carlsbad Village, and we got invited to this tech investor meetup. So it ended up being like 50 tech investors on a Monday. And so we're like, all right, canned wine at the tech investor thing.
Tell them what you said. What you opened with
About technology?
Yeah.
All right. So basically technology is whatever that makes the world kind of easier, faster, and more efficient for human beings. So a can is definitely technology, and wine started out 6,000 years ago. We were putting it in bottles. In 1933, we restarted post-prohibition in the United States, and we've been using bottles ever since. So it's almost 90 years. Very, very little innovation. So that's what we did at the very beginning. We talked for like 2 or 3 minutes about our business. And then Cory's like, tell them how much you're raising and for what. I'm like, oh yeah, that too. We were so much more further along than the other companies that by only speaking for 5 minutes made us look great, and that we were going to be break even within a month. The other companies were just much more earlier. And one was an AI company, the other was a crypto company, but I did not think we'd be presenting there. And it was amazing. And literally 3 or 4 people that were there to invest in tech reached out directly. I want to talk.
Yeah, and it was cool. And there's a lot more to the story. I'll kind of rewind just a little bit. Yeah. And the gentleman who we originally kind of met, who kind of invited us to this whole thing. We're now very friendly with him. He's great. And it started at the Taste of Carlsbad that Zeke was talking to. And this is just last week, so that's why we're talking about it. So we're there, we're doing our thing, surprise. We were like the belle of the ball, super busy, crazy long line at the boutique we were in. A guy and his wife, another couple, come up finally, and he's like, has this peculiar look. He was drinking the red blend, and he was looking at it, and he had this peculiar look, like he was familiar with it. And he goes, the first thing he said to me was, do you know Drew Shirley? For those of you who don't know Drew, an amazing musician, local guy. He was a longtime member of the band Switchfoot, and I happen to know him, and there's a long story there, which I won't get into now. But so long story short, Drew had some of our wine when we first kind of were doing this. And so the guy I'm talking to, his name's Nathan. And so he was like, I had this at Drew's house, and he was like, I couldn't believe how good it was. So that was kind of like what kind of broke the ice, I guess, altogether. Then we just had a great chat with, his wife and then the other couple. And we had so many other things in common, so many synergies, mutual friends, etc. And so it's Nathan that was hosting this. He's a big time tech guy, had an amazing startup, had an exit, and he's just a big part of the community, tech, investor, startups. It's like what gets his blood going. So this is great. So it literally was just in a few days. And so cut to all that, we had that, amazing event. And I will say, okay, so it was about, some tech guys and looking to kind of see what's new and kind of a networking thing too. But let's not forget that they were drinking Los Cuernos. So, I mean, at the end of the day, people were in a great mood and they were having a great time, and we were able to chat it up in and talk about the wine with all these folks. And so that was happening before and after. So the actual kind of event was great and a kind of a learning experience in itself. But now I'm rambling.
Yeah, I want to say one example beforehand is like whenever you don't have silverware and you get to go for something, it's a weird situation where like, oh my God, I cannot believe this simple, hard thing makes my life that much easier, spoon, fork, knife. With cans, it happened to all of the beverages. And when I talk to people about it, I'm like, you have coffee now, which is really high acidity of probiotics. You have name your cocktail with orange juice, beer, and then you have water. So not only just water, I mean, Liquid Death's a story on its own, but imported water. So if you're getting imported water from Europe, that's to travel 1,000 miles and then be in a can, like, I think the can acceptance piece is finally there. And gosh, not going so much into it. The wine and spirits industry had a very long run with bottled wine supply chains, with the route to market that's bottled wine. So they were going to fight tooth and nail to not have this change because you're just disrupting our money. It's good. It's really the blockbuster Netflix thing. So now I think with enough can adoption, High Noon is multi-billion-dollar brand in 3-4 years. White Claw, I think 2016. So 8 years, billion-dollar brand. Liquid Death, I think finally it's time for wine to do it. And then like from the tech perspective, the wine is fresher. That is something we underestimated, but we get told about all the time. I really love that it's fresh glass. And then because of the Great Seal, it's consistent. So those things that make the can much better. And then it's lower transport, the highest recycle rate of any material in the world. There's a lot to it. We just got to get people drinking it first.
Yeah. No,
it's crazy, the technology of it, right? Like how much it advanced. Like even the smallest, I think that's something I've always been fascinated with as a younger person, right? Is a lot of really great businesses didn't do anything like revolutionary, right? We didn't send anything to space, although a Los Cuernos can in space would be pretty cool. But like just small innovations like that make the biggest difference to people's lives, like the consumption of wine, good wine, I may add as well. It's just like a small little innovation in technology that we're so resistant to just because of our old ways. Is like it changes everything, And
you always say, I like that you say 60 seconds because even though you said that, I blew past it. The overall thing is that great wine was accessible probably in 1 out of 4 restaurants. Los Cuernos could be accessible like in 75 to 90%.
Yeah.
Because they were not doing that before. And that's why we kept running into this gross wine in plastic bottles.
I mean, I'm ruined. Now, every time I go to a restaurant, I can't unlearn or unthink or whatever. Now, whenever I look across the bar and I see, the lineup of the wines by the glass, any given restaurant, any given day, there's probably 80% of them that have literally a cork stuck in the top, and I'm ruined. All I think about is like stale ass food that's sitting in the window.
Yeah.
Or like sitting under the heat lamp.
That's
all I can think about. I'm like, but why would somebody order that? It's already old. It makes no...
Any other food.
I actually wish it wasn't like that.
Well, it cannot be like that. The can right here is that solution.
The first glass out of the bottle is the only fresh one. So imagine you got a burrito and they're like, the first person that got the first fourth of it was fresh. And then the next day they're like, hey, we had that burrito. We made it yesterday, but it's still pretty good.
It's like going to Starbucks. It's like going to Starbucks and asking for like a breakfast wrap or one of the like lollipop cake, the cake pops.
Yes.
It's like asking for one of those and then they just pick it out of the display cabinet. Can you imagine? That would be crazy. I'd say like, yeah, no, take that back. But the other thing I wanted to ask you guys about, you were on iHeartRadio, I believe, recently. And I think as well, I want you to, don't go into too much detail, but I want you to explain this because we've got a couple of stories this week that just absolutely summarize every time I have a conversation with you guys, how random your interactions are with people and how like fruitful they are. So tell us, how did you get on iHeartRadio? How did it come about? Because I know it was super organic and random. So tell us about it.
Zeke will take that one.
Okay, I'm going to burst from the seams here. I'm going to take a step back and slow down. We are out working really hard at such a high rate that we run into these people. So like Yes, there's definitely some luck, and the story has tons of it in it, but the fact that we did it. So there's a group called the Neighborhood Market Association that caters to the Chaldean community. So if you don't know Chaldeans, they're Iraqi Christians and Catholics that live. The number one expat place is actually in Michigan, and the number two is San Diego, El Cajon. So there's a huge Chaldean community, and they are entrepreneurs. They run 90% or more, maybe 95, 96 of the gas station liquor store in San Diego. So if you work selling wine, spirits, beer, candy, salty snacks, beverages into these independent liquor stores or gas stations, you're going to work with the community. So I've been doing it in this community for a long time. Actually worked in liquor stores, and then I worked in this wine spirits distributor. And then James on our team has great relationships. And so this event is out in El Cajon. It was like 94 degrees, not the glorious part. We drive out super early. We set it up, but we brought the energy that day from the beginning to the very end. And this didn't happen till the very end of the night. So it was like 5:00, and we pride ourselves in this. We say no chairs for the Los Cuernos team. So if you do an event, we don't sit in chairs. We push the chairs aside, and we're just going to bring all energy into the last bell. It's like 30 minutes to close. And Tony Kanja, the owner of the keg and bottle chain, is like 11 locations. Kind of legend, grew his business up, and everyone knows the college store by San Diego State is just a monster of account. Hadn't seen Tony all day. I actually hadn't seen him in like 8 years. Walks up and I go, Cory, there's Tony right there. We talk briefly and he's like, hey guys, I'm in a pinch. I'm doing this podcast tomorrow and a guest canceled. Can you guys do it? It's tomorrow at 8 a.m.
He's like at iHeart. I actually forgot where it was.
It was at the iHeart Studios. It's kind of by the 15 Terrasana Convoy. So I just look at Cory, and Cory's like, yeah, of course we're going to do this. And we say, hey, we're going to do this, and we're going to bring the energy. What he doesn't know is the day before we were at the store pitching him on all the accounts. Like, just crazy coincidence. So he says yes. We figure out all the details. And then following morning, we're on AM 76 Sports Radio, San Diego.
Yeah, it was a trip, and it was awesome. Yeah, Tony was there. We were there with the VJs. We actually learned a thing or two. I think we need to up our game being with those pros. But yeah, it was.
And he shotgunned the Los Cuernos, did he not?
He did.
A Chardonnay.
I'm just glad he didn't shard his pants.
No, it was a great video.
Yeah, those are great guys.
Another benefit of a can, you can shotgun it.
Yeah,
they're pros.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. And then it just goes on, right? So yesterday, Zeke and I, this is actually hard to believe, but we connected yesterday with a gal who used to be a regular at the fine dining Italian restaurant that we met at called L'Opera, that we've spoken about numerous times. It's the same restaurant where I met my wife. And this is in 2001. And there was this amazing group of regulars that included this gal, Denise. And there was a few other people kind of part of it too. Long story short, we ended up, kind of reconnecting, not too recently. And then one thing led to another, and she loves Los Cuernos. She's super interested, and she's an investor. So she happened to be in town. So it's even crazy saying it now, like how, and we could spend actually a lot longer talking about like the importance and the actual timing and just how like almost too good to be true a lot of this is just overall in our journey. That's essentially been a faith journey, as we're, bootstrapping, Los Cuernos. And, it cuts to, yes, she happened to be in town for work. She actually lives in Florida now. She was in town. We drove down to meet her, and it was surreal. Like, it was one of those days that, yeah, we have all kinds of stuff that happens. It's serendipitous. That's like, great or advantageous. But it was so much richer and deeper. I mean, we hadn't seen her in 20 years. And to kind of come full circle. And when she first met us, we were just like in our 20s, little dorks with like black bow tie and the white coat, selling wine.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, I'm just I shouldn't have said that. It was just
nerd, not a dork.
Not me. I've never been a dork.
I get it, but like now, having heard how many times this sort of stuff happens, of just like, you know, the serendipitous, all that kind of stuff, I just don't believe there's any luck anymore. It's all about just the effort and the output that you guys put in. Like, you guys are so active in the community. Like, your accounts every single day. I think every single call I've ever had with you, apart from maybe two for our like weekly ones about when we're talking about marketing and stuff, you've been in a car and you've been in a car, right? Like, you always are. And it's just that activity and that rate in which you're out and in the community, getting the name out there, getting, you know, the brand known, but then also beyond the brand too, right? The message out there about canned wine and stuff. It's just like, I just wholeheartedly at this point don't even believe in luck. I think it's just purely activity and effort and output that you're kind of getting from those things, you know? And I think I want to finish off this section of stories of the week with one more that you guys told me about earlier this week.
I want to close this loop here.
Okay, go for it.
Record this.
Go for it.
Okay.
Hey, Rio's in charge.
At this meeting that we had, there's a second part to it I won't talk about today. Literally, the company changes because of yesterday. Just that's all I'll say. We'll talk about it like in 60 days, and I'm going to tell you the company changed yesterday.
There we go. So
the trajectory, like
in 2 podcasts time, they'll hear about it. There we go.
Yeah, we're about to do some special things. I'll just say that.
I love that. So the final story I want to close off the stories of this week kind of with was one that summarizes all those things that we kind of spoke about, of serendipitous and effort and all the different outputs that we've been getting here. So this is a story of you guys going to meet a new restaurant vendor, then meeting someone who had tasted the wine. They loved it so much they wanted to invest $25,000 right there and then into the company.
Yeah, I had to remember which one this was.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so this, I think I'll start it and you finish it, but I think this one started when we were at the Yelp.
Oh.
We did one of the other events we did this past week was Yelp reached out. They were doing an event locally where they and Yelp put it on, and they had I think 750 of their top Yelpers.
Amazing event, by the way.
Oh,
amazing.
So let's start with it. It was inside the Air and Space Museum in San Diego. So super cool. And, it was a great event that they host, great food vendors. We happen to be the only wine. And then I'll hand it over to you, Zeke, because before we even finished setting up, there was a couple of the food vendors, kind of local restaurant people that came over that were like, hey, how do we order? Like, yeah, let's go. And then you can take it.
I think like with the Yelpers is they know about restaurants, right? Whether it's expensive or small ones, they're taking pictures. And to get invited to this was like a great crowd. And as we were setting up, there's like 3 or 4 restaurant groups setting up with us, and we're just talking to them, and we're food and wine guys. So when we tell them it's a similar situation, that if you want good wine, it's not available in small. And then he's like, the only thing that's available, the plastic bottles, man. And we're like, well, actually, no, this is actually available. And we get the look all the time. He's like, yeah, I've tried some cans. And then we just wait, and he tries like, oh man. And then he has like the 2 women that work at his restaurant. He goes, well, let's see if they like it. Brings them down to us, and they try it. And then he becomes like a best friend. He's coming back. He's bringing us food. He's talking to us. And like the beginning, he questioned like if it would even work. Was he good? By the end, best friend thinks we're going to make it. We're on to something. And do you guys have all your investors? Like that happened in 2 hours.
And I actually confused this story. I think the one Rio was bringing
Enzo's.
up was Enzo's. Yeah, one of our advisors is good buddies with the owner of this chain. And he had given him some wine. He encouraged us. He was like, hey, he would love it if you guys stop by at some point. And this was like late on whatever day it was in the office. And, it was later in the day.
It's 5:30, yeah.
Yeah, and we were like, whoa, I got to go back up to Oceanside anyway. It's actually on the way. So we were like, heck, we're going to let it rip and just go there now. happened to catch the owner there after not thinking so. Caught him there, completely hit it off. He was like, he saw a guy at the bar that was a regular and a buddy. He goes, oh, you guys got to meet him. And he was like, oh, actually, I tasted your wine. And that's kind of where it happened. It was literally the guy at the end of the bar after we had ad hoc went to visit anyways.
No, it goes deeper.
That was great. That summary of it just summarized exactly how things are just.
We
insane.
didn't know about it until 5:30, and then we're like, let's go over here. If you know anyone that knows Italian restaurants, especially in the 2000s, 2010s, like you understand certain bottles of wine, certain foods in a certain culture, and like that guy lived it, and so we lived it. The owner talked to Cory for like 45 seconds. They named like 5 people that they both knew that are LA, Las Vegas, San Diego, Orange County, in the Italian wine scene, in the restaurant scene. And I'm just watching this going, this is impossible. We didn't know about this at 5:30. We're here. And this guy's like, you're going to be in here. I'm opening a restaurant in Encinitas and I want you to introduce this. And we should just drink and hang out together. And then he said the craziest thing because he has a full service restaurant. Cory like got balls and was like, we're disrupting your model. Like, where do you eat with your kids? And he's like, oh, the Boredom Brew, this. And it was like, went through his mind too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these guys are on some. So it's all crazy to not, again, we keep people we don't know. And then 3 hours later, like family.
I love it. We're going to name that the Los Cuernos effect.
Yeah. What we say.
Do we get a
relationships, forever partners, like customers, like forever.
Yeah. So, what is the best song of your childhood?
Few that come to mind, or one that comes to mind is "We Built This City."
Oh my God.
I like it. You have that from growing up. What about you?
Although, if somebody can tell me what the actual lyrics are to the part that goes, "Italy pleta bam bam," like it's one of my favorite lines. I've just never known what it says, and at this point, I don't know if I care.
We could see what
it's
see what
so
Apple,
iconic.
Let's see what Apple says.
I'll help you out. We built this city on rock and roll. Built this.
And so you want to see by Starship.
Yes.
You want to see.
It's like I don't even know how to guide you because I don't know what it says any of the times. It's the sentence that precedes listening to the radio. Before it says listening to the radio, it says something about a bonbon, maybe?
A bonbon.
I don't know. A bonbon?
Listening to the radio, do you remember We Built This City? Or is it the one before that?
Before that.
Okay. Write us off the page. Marconi plays the mamba.
Marconi plays the mamba. That's it.
What the hell does that even mean, though? What does that mean?
Marconi. That's what it is. I never knew.
There we go. Marconi's a cool person, I guess.
You went so deep.
What is
We built this city.
Dude, I was just rapping.
I love it. No, that is an iconic song that anyone would know. Let's go 90s. Hip hop.
That's a genre, not a song.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Thanks, Rios.
I'm trying to think, like Cory and I, even though we grew up in different parts of the U.S., there were some songs that just overtook.
And also, friendly reminder, this is rapid fire section.
I only know one way, slow fire and paste fire. Okay. I'm not doing a good job on rapid fire. 90s song.
This is rapid fire. There's a song from your childhood. Let's switch up the question.
A song from a childless. I'll just go back 80s because the lyrics are better for me and I'm overthinking it. There's a song called Africa by Toto, the one-hit wonder.
Not expecting that.
What is the best fast food chain?
Oh, I mean, I kind of feel somewhat obligated to say In-N-Out, which could be justified. I have some old school love. I know it sounds weird for Wendy's in the Square Burgs, but then I also really love like Taco Bueno from Texas. It's a little more regional.
Taco Bueno.
Taco Bueno.
Yeah, Bueno. I'm gonna do. Yeah, it's got to be In-N-Out.
I'm gonna go with Roberto's just because I grew up here in San Diego and you had to pick Mexican food. It's really good here.
This is not a debate section, but I do have to agree. You in and out. But
Yeah, come on now.
if we're going moderate speed, Shake Shack.
Oh yeah, yeah. Shake
That's
Shack's
like moderate speed, though. That's not fast food.
Although, have you tried their wine there?
Terrible.
Shitey.
Shake Shack.
Okay, they try to
Figure
trick
it
their
out.
customers. They try to
Figure it
trick
out.
their
From
questions.
Washington State. I just had it 2-3 days ago.
It's white labeled swag.
Boo.
Burger is delicious. Come on.
I wish I had a
Hey, I'm just saying there's opportunity.
Okay, next quick fire question.
Quick fire, yes. Remind me again, please. Quick fire.
Best Thanksgiving dish. It could be a side, it could be a main, whatever.
Yeah, my favorite's mashed potatoes. It's actually a tie. So one, it's like not necessarily one of the main components I consider, but I always make it every year. Usually serve them kind of before, but deviled eggs.
Oh,
Yeah.
good shout. Good shout.
So my favorite, if I did, I'll stack rank deviled eggs, mashed potatoes.
I love that.
Yep.
Zeke?
I think you have to say the turkey, in particular the turkey leg.
The turkey leg. That's interesting. Not a
that is-
turkey leg guy kind of guy.
Soak it with butter.
I'm like the
Delicious.
breast. The breast, that's the
You're
best.
too young and healthy, but
Okay.
Yeah, I'll leave that alone. Do you pull the wishbone? Do you do that?
Make a wish.
if whenever we can. But I agree with you on deviled eggs. I think the beginning of Thanksgiving, before I'm like super gorged
Mm-hmm.
with food, you're still like kind of upbeat. You drink like a beer, a sparkler, and you got the eggs. You're still feeling good. After 2 football games, half, you're like,
Sweet potatoes. It's like, nah.
Sausage in blankets. Or pigs in blankets. You ever had those?
Oh, yeah.
Sausage wrapped in bacon. That's got to be hands down.
Oh, I don't think I've ever had that on Thanksgiving.
not have it?
No.
Wait, how is Thanksgiving in the UK different than the United States?
We don't do it.
Okay, well, that's a pretty big start.
He's all, we're not thankful.
So what do you
I
do
don't-
on that day?
We don't do anything. Like it's not.
Normal day.
It's weird actually because our Christmas is Thanksgiving. Like it's the same meal. We don't do
Okay.
like there's normally a Christmas turkey or a Christmas chicken or a Christmas meat and then the food around it. So it's kind of weird the difference. But yeah, we don't do it.
What is your favorite Christmas
My favorite Christmas
meal?
Yeah, I was
Christmas meal.
Yeah, what is it?
Well, our tradition in our family was to do a Christmas meat. It didn't have to be turkey or chicken.
Okay.
So my favorite meat is lamb. So I love a good Christmas lamb. Yeah.
I can do that.
There we go. All right, that ends the quickfire question. All right, debate section time. Again, this is kind of quickfire, but these are some good ones. I might have to get quite mad if someone says this answer in this one. Who is better, Otani or Tatis?
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
Otani.
Oh my God.
It's hard.
I have done some digging, and I'm going to make sure it gets pulled up in this clip of the podcast. There is a stat sheet that compares Otani and Tatis's like runs in the games in postseason this year.
Mm-hmm.
Tatis beats him on every single stat. Yes, the Dodgers beat him, but it wasn't because of Otani. And up to that point in postseason, Tatis was better than Otani in every way.
I think that is true. And I'm a lifelong San Diego fan, and I love Tatis. And I watched his dad hit 2 grand slams in 1 inning for the St. Louis Cardinals. That's a true fact. But Otani is compared to Babe Ruth. He is one of one. He might be the best player he might be better than Mike Trout. So I have to say Otani's better.
There we go. That was a good debate section.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, dude, Rio came clutch. Normally we just
know.
pause and don't say anything and then inevitably have the same opinion, which is so lame.
But I will say, when Tatis hit that home run,
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
and he like posed
Yeah.
during like swinging, he just did the flare. I believed this year. I told my daughters this was the year we were all excited, and it wasn't. And I got tricked again. So I'm still a little bit hurt.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll include this in, but I do have a little bit of an inside scoop. So our friends still live at Park 12, which is the apartment building right across from Petco Park.
Okay.
And Jackson Merrill lives
Oh, yeah.
in that building.
No
Yeah,
way.
He lives on the 35th floor. Oh, no. Yeah, 27th, fifth, or one of the two, in that building. And the night that we beat the Dodgers at home, the final game that we won in the series, Merrill was in the elevator with a friend of ours going back up. And my friend was like, trying to not talk to him too much. He had to game me. But they got chatting and stuff in the elevator. And my friend goes, so, what do you think tomorrow? Are we going to win? Are we going to win? And he goes, nah, we're cooked.
What?
Right? Right? To hear that from a player, even though they just came off the back of winning and getting ahead in the series, and he said we're cooked. So we don't think it's fixed. I mean, it could very much be, right? Like the MLB is getting so much money from Ohtani, like they can't not have him go to the World Series.
I did not know we were going conspiracy theory here.
Why else? I mean, did he offer any?
But the only other thing is that we are suspecting as well. Something could have happened in the changing rooms with the Padres. And so, what's the pitcher's name who pitched first in Game 4? Who was it? I forget the guy's name. But whoever pitched first had a terrible game, and then they put him back in. So there may have been some stuff in the changing rooms where it was like, why are we doing this? We're going to lose, stuff like that. It may not have been as much, but I'm a little bit on the conspiracy side.
Yeah.
I like that MLB has a little bit of, incentive going on here,
We have been choking in San Diego, and I'm not saying this pod team's chokers my whole entire life, all sports. So this was like, we expect it to happen. If you go back to our social media manager who was born in San Diego, she wrote the Padres will let you down. I didn't like that post because I thought she was wrong. And then 7 months later, they let us down.
That went
laughing.
I don't know even where I'm going.
Slamming the Padres. But if you would like to get Los Cuernos at the Padres Stadium, then we'd love to get it.
I saw what happened with the Cubs.
Yeah.
It will happen during my lifetime, and it will be the most amazing thing because they're our team. The San Diego Padres still love them. Cory is a Dallas Cowboys fan. He knows what it's like to go through a drought. So we're going through the same thing.
Why are you bring that up?
No, it's
throwing shade today.
No, you still root for it, though. I see you every year root for it, and that's how I felt.
Even though you're going for a drought. Even though.
Yeah.
I was really bummed this year. Rio, it took me like a couple weeks to process that we couldn't score a run in the last 2 games with the best lineup in baseball. 47 years old, and maybe it'll never happen. So it was a lot for me to get over with in 2 weeks.
It'll happen. It'll just figure it out. Okay, next question for debate section. Now that we're off the topic of Padres and conspiracy, we're on to the best beach in San Diego. And there's lots of different reasons for this one. While you guys are thinking, we could be picking beaches based on the surf quality.
Right, and you have to remember we have kids too, so sometimes
kid beaches,
accessibility, a
lot of things that come into play here, but you got to pick what is the best beach in San Diego.
Best South. Go ahead.
No.
Kid beach. I'm gonna say Coronado. We were just there the other day.
That's a
little
big
kid
shout.
Beach, easy waves. The parking's kind of sneaky good if you find it. The best surf beach, of course, is Black's Beach. It's hard to get to. You have to walk down this crazy little trail. But Peak Blacks is considered a top 20 surf spot in the entire world.
Oh, yeah.
And I've seen it at like 10 or 12 feet, and I had to sit on the sideline. I could not surf. It's amazing to watch really good people in San Diego surf those big waves.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Say Blacks.
Moonlight's nostalgic for me. I mean, it's kind of right there in the mix. You kind of got to know, kind of pick your points. Tosh, which is that one just north? It's in Carlsbad. That water factory thing? Or the one right when you go down the stairs next to that one house, and then there's Terramar. That's my favorite. Because it's kind of sneaky. There's just some guys usually surfing there, but people don't camp out. They don't just go to the beach there because the tide comes up so much. And so that one, if you do it strategically, is money. You're almost in your own cove. So that's mine, Terramar.
Some good shouts, I would definitely say. I agree with a lot of those beaches. Just got to deal with the nakedness at Black's Beach.
And then Beacons.
Yeah.
It's always good. I like Moonlight. I've had some really nice times at Moonlight. Bonfiring there too, barbecuing, stuff like that. You can do that on Moonlight, and it's good.
And then there's some other nostalgic ones in other ways, like OB.
OB.
Oh, yeah.
Point Loma. Going for a walk on Point Loma.
Yeah. I mean, we love them all, but they were the suggestions.
Yep.
I like them.
Sticking with Terramar.
Alrighty. We're starting to get to a little bit towards the end of the podcast, so we've still got some stuff to get through right here. So I want to make sure we get through it. What is the wine topic of the week? What are we going to discuss today here, gentlemen?
I'll let you handle it, Cory.
This is random. I don't know if it's a specific topic, but it's a wine topic. So we were in this wine shop very well-known wine shop. It's like very esoteric as they come, right? Kind of psalm-driven. You'll hear the word natty a lot. And I was just kind of scoping the scene. It was the first time there. And, kind of various selection. And because of a previous...
Let me stop you 1 second. Yeah. Natty? What's natty?
Natural wine. It stands for natty.
Oh, like natty.
Short for natural.
So literally like bodybuilding. Are you natty or not? Yeah. Wine natty or not?
Yeah. Yes. Kind of, but we digress. But yeah, it's a whole thing we'll get into. Natty wine, we'll do we'll do that topic next week if you guys want to.
Oh yeah, don't get me fired up.
No, we will. It'll be great.
Carry on.
But, no, my point is we were at this wine shop, and because of a previous conversation with one of the regulars we were with that was into wine, we ended up on the topic of like some fun, obscure-ish dessert wines. And one of my favorite is Madeira. Some people know it, some people don't, and it's super different. And knowing where I was like, oh, these guys have to have Madeira. So I was like, oh yeah, Madeira. Just a very curious and honest question. And then I was kind of led to the back, led over there, and then there was the guy that was helping me. He was awesome. He was very nice, but it was almost like what. Just from asking if there was Madeira, he kind of just kept going, and it seemed like he felt bad. He didn't have a greater selection. It almost seemed like he felt bad, like he was justifying the fact that he only had kind of like a couple of the more still great wine, great Madeira, the bottles that he had, but they were the more kind of basic ones. Not any of the because with Madeira, it's indestructible, so you can get some gnarly, like super like vintage, like old, like we've had even at the restaurant, we had Madeira that was like that we tasted and served from like the 40s or the 60s. I think we had like 68, 62. So he just kind of had the regular Madeira, which is fine. It was almost like he was justifying it, and it just dawned on me. It hit me like a ton of bricks. So I'm just going to kind of say the statement, and then maybe we can just talk about it. Maybe Zeke has an opinion or some insight. But I was like, oh my gosh. And this is nothing personal to this wine shop, to this gentleman, anything, but it just kind of exposed to me like where we are and how far we've come. And I'm like, I was like, please don't feel the need to justify why you don't have vintage Madeira. If you're going to feel the need to justify anything to me, I would love to know why you don't sell a good single serve wine, because you're a wine shop in an affluent wine drinking beach community that sells wine to go.
What do you want to add to that, Zeke? I love that. I've got some questions, but I want to see if Zeke wants to add.
I have to be careful what I say here. They are used to an older business model in the same way that Blockbuster Video made so much money off the fees, and it really annoyed people. So it's not their fault. And if you listen to it, they're going to understand this is what they're born into. The system is off bottles, and it's made to charge 400 to 500%. If you bring in a single serve at a different price point, it's going to ruin that model. And so that's why they're going to keep pouring this until it runs its course. That's why wine is declining.
Why has it lacked so much innovation for so long? Like, why has it done that? Yes, I know you said time and time, you said it in a previous podcast, it had a boom era, all of that kind of stuff, but why did it continue just to not innovate until now? Like, why has it not done that? And why has it waited until it is declining and people are really struggling in the space to start allowing that to happen? Like, what?
There's two main reasons. And the reason you hear a lot on LinkedIn or on the news is marketing. And it really like upsets me when people say that it's marketing. It is not marketing. It's not talking to the customer. It's a consumer trial problem. So the 3-tier system is the people that make the wine, suppliers, basically we're a supplier, the distributors who you have to, the suppliers have to sell distributors who then distribute it to retail. You legally have to use that since 1933 in the United States. That system doesn't account for the customer. So the 3 groups that get together, it would be like us. You're Costco, Trader Joe's, Walmart, you're all big retail. Cory is the big distributor, Southern Glazers, RNDC, Anheuser-Busch Reyes, and I'm the producer. Tosh is a customer. He's not invited. And so what it is the profit structure for us to stay in live does not need his opinion. So during the boom times, they built out to serve the best customers, which were the baby boomers. So fine dining restaurants, wine shops, supermarkets, they put a bunch of higher quality wine that they made good margins on and kept growing the price points. For the rest of the market, which was hard to get to, liquor stores, small restaurants, they gave really cheap wine in plastic bottles and it didn't matter. So people were drinking anyways.
I hear that, but why? So that's why it kind of boomed. That's why it did well initially.
Yeah.
But then why did it take them so long to innovate, right? Like you were explaining, the 3-tier system, that applies to all alcoholic beverages, right? It doesn't just apply to wine. So why, when everybody else was going to cans, was doing these other things to benefit the consumer, why was wine not doing that?
So
Because the legacy constituents that were beholden to the system, they only secure it by making it more complicated,
yeah.
by creating the divide. And that is why even people that are wine people are intimidated by wine.
They can't, because if we got us three together, you would say, hey, let's switch to cans right now. And the supply person would be like, no, I got these giant supply chains that go to France, to Italy, from here, from Napa, and I can't spend all this capital to redo that. And the distributor would be like, no, we're doing good ripping people off. Why do you want to change that? And then the retailer is like, I'm getting paid from both of you. It doesn't matter. It's a commodity.
Yeah.
So literally that's what happened. And eventually the system just ran its course about 2014, 15. And from selling good wine, they started just selling cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And cheaper wine. So the good news for us is that the customer got tired of it. So they ordered a lot of wine direct to consumer. They're ready for the change. And like wine had to suffer for about 8 or 9 years for us to be able to enact this change. And that's why we're doing it right now, because the wine consumer's tired of it. And now there's money to be made in a different channel.
Do we want to talk about, we got like 2 minutes left. So is there anything else you wanted to discuss in that wine topic? Because I like this.
I mean, while we're talking about it, it's like there was another buyer that sometimes it's like, it just baffles me. It just baffles me, right? What they think about. And look, it's not personal. Everybody's trying to figure it out, right? In every retail spot, whether it's a wine shop, a restaurant, whatever it is, it kind of has its different challenges and they have their different customer base. But I was at this one spot in Point Loma, and it's like a respectable place, ironically, with great quality brands, has a lot of great beer, and even known kind of for some wine. And I just couldn't believe it. She literally was like, said something about the label. And then and then we were talking about the quality, and she said, oh, well, our customers, they don't care about that. They're like older. So she was like a younger gal, just new into the role. She literally said the quiet part out loud. So I think the big takeaway for me is we're just going to see if we're going to be a fit where we think, essentially. Not everybody's going to get it. It's going to be too soon for some people. Some people are literally just clueless. Just don't take it personal. But literally she said the quality the customer didn't know about wine and they didn't care. So therefore she didn't care.
I'm going to rip them off.
The wild thing about that too, as well, is like we started off this podcast, Zeke, talking about tech.
Yeah.
And how companies and technology in general is always driven to make things more efficient, faster for people and stuff like that. And wine hasn't been like that for the longest time. And I have never in my life come across a product where people make it more complex to drive up price.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I've never understood that. They've made it increase in price because it's become faster and more efficient, right? And it's become better because of that. But never in my life have I come across a product that does that. And like you said, I think one of my friends was speaking to me the other day about something completely different, about ads, right?
Okay.
For media and stuff like that. And he says, the one thing with ads that I'll tell you for sure is if anybody is trying to tell you that it's complex, they're trying to sell you something. And I think that can be taken into this story as well.
Beautiful,
they're
Rio.
trying to tell you if it's complex, they're trying to sell you on it more. If
That's beautiful. That's what's happening in wine.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. And so it's like, that this whole new wave of like course sellers and people like that just making things seem more complex to sell you something that's
and it doesn't help. This is one of my kind of like pet peeves too. Like on Instagram, you'll see all these wine influencers. Hold on, let me do it like this. The wine influencers.
Yeah.
If I see one more of I'm a sommelier, here's some sommelier recommended wines from Trader Joe's, it's like, for the love of God, what are we doing here?
But
it just enables, and Zeke's gonna get fired up here now, which is kind of the point. Kind of wanted to trigger him, but what are we doing? It's completely enabling what's going on, but it's hard too. And let's be real, we deal with it too, right? Because our ethos is like kind of the opposite. We're like, stop being stupid. Stop being overthinking everything. Just drink what you like, right? Like no rules. Like, but at the same time, we're a new brand and we need to establish credibility in the fact that we are experts and insiders, so it's sometimes we get caught in it too. What were you going to say?
I think the big part that we solve for is that if you go to a smaller restaurant, you can trust that it's going to be high quality and that you can trust that it's going to be fresh and then it's going to be a style that you like. And what bothers me, and you talked earlier, is making a very obscure wine from southern France, and it's organic, but it also traveled thousands of miles and it's gross and it costs like $2 a bottle. That is ripping people off. Doing a house wine that is restaurant only because it's a $4 bottle in a store and then you're selling it, that is ripping people off.
Preach.
So our goal is that it's a high quality wine. It's going to be fresh, and then you can trust the people that made it for wine drinkers. And like, that is what you're talking about, the core simpleness of it. It wasn't possible a year ago.
Absolutely. And I think that's a beautiful way to dovetail and finish off this podcast. So, Cory, you started it. Zeke, close it off. Tell our audience a little goodbye message, I guess.
Another, just a great week in Los Cuernos, getting the wine out.
I mean, you seeded it. You said this is like one of the most pivotal weeks in Los Cuernos history. So let's not forget that. We'll fill in later. Now, continue.
Yeah, we did 2 or 3 events. And when I watch people try the wine and I get that reaction, I know we're on something and that we have to just keep moving it forward. And yeah, unbelievable week of just being out in market and seeing people.